Hi and welcome to Vox Singing Academy's video podcast number 22.
Yay!
And today we're going to have a very fun podcast and we are going to be talking about our fave singers or our fave singer. Okay, so we're just going to pick one because we picked singers would be here forever. But if you like this video podcast, please subscribe to the YouTube channel or our podcast channel as well too. We also have Facebook. We also have the Ask Vox Singing Academy YouTube channel and the 5 Minute Singer. So please check those out if you want great, free content. Okay, so let's kick this off here. Em, your favourite singer?
Rachelle Ferrell, hands down.
And why?
She is an incredibly skilled and soulful performer, and I just want to quote her, maybe a little bit garbled. It's a songwriter's job to put emotion into music and words, and singer's job to translate it back into emotions. So she both takes her technical skill very seriously, but it's for a reason, to perform emotionally the pieces that she wrote herself or covered. She did a lot of jazz standards in her youth. She's in her 50s now, in her middle 50s, and she started singing. Again, not to lie, she started singing training somewhere about 5 or 6 years old, and she's a classically trained violinist and piano player as well.
Let's backtrack it. Where is she from?
She's an American.
American?
Yeah, okay. She's an American singer.
Do you know what state in America?
No, so New Jersey something. So she studied in Berkeley, and I think she finished it in 1 year.
Berkeley's in Boston.
Yeah. Basically, I don't know where she lives. I don't stalk her.
Yeah, but obviously, yeah.
Yeah.
So the
not from Minnesota, I'm guessing.
Yes, no, it's not from Minnesota.
I don't know. I don't have this information.
Yep. So she's from the East Coast there.
Mm-hmm. She has an incredible range, absolutely crazy range, giant voice, and incredible nuance. She's using.
What do you mean by nuance?
This is what we talked about, the light and shade.
Okay.
So it's not all the time happening. It's nothing like that. Just go and listen to Rachelle Ferrell singing live, I Forgive You. Maybe we will put a link down below.
Yep. To
her performing live, I think at Montreux Festival in Canada. I may be lying again,
yep. But
the link will be there. Rachelle Ferrell, I Forgive You, live. I like her because her technique is not apparent. She's not one of those people that you listen to and go, wow, this is fantastic, this is so skillful, such trills and drulls and runs and shreds and blah blah. This is the person that you listen to and it takes you into a totally different space and time, and I'm just talking about her, I'm getting goosebumps, and she makes everything sound so effortless and achievable, and it's only when you try and learn her songs you go like, oh my god, what did I just
wow.
It's a lot of her stuff is simply impossible to sing for the vast majority of people. She has whistle register, she has beautiful, very very low notes, she goes into the second octave effortlessly, and the main thing here is effortlessly.
Yep.
Did you have any more questions? Because I can keep gushing about her forever.
No, but again, you said she started singing when she was 7.
She was something like 5 or 6, and very young. And very young, she started training as a piano and violin player. So she plays at least 2 instruments that I know of.
Yep.
But most likely it's way more than that, because when you're in the jazz circuit, you tend to learn to play
piano or guitar.
Learn to play a lot more things. And she's been working with some fantastic people. She's been working with Patti LaBelle, she's been teaching alongside Dizzy Gillespie.
Wow.
And working with him, she sang backup for George Duke, like jazz royalty.
Yep.
Jazz royalty, everyone. And the funny story is, long time ago, over 10 years, maybe 15 years ago, when MySpace was still a thing, and I met this beautiful, fantastic jazz pianist on MySpace. I don't remember who wrote to whom first. Pete Levine, huge hello. And turns out Pete played on a couple of Rochelle's albums.
Wow.
And produced her arrangements.
Wow.
And also turns out he's a younger brother of Tony Levine, my favorite bass guitar player.
Wow.
So, and he told me it and I didn't even realize it up to the point where he offered to arrange one of my songs.
Wow.
And he returned it to me as like a birthday present with Tony Levine playing bass on
Wow.
it. Like, I don't think I've ever gotten more emotional in my life ever.
Wow.
Only on par with listening to Rachelle Ferrell sing.
Wow.
You know, so the things are so weird in life. So people that you love and respect, and their creative output, they are kind of all interconnected. And if ever Rachelle, beautiful, incredible, amazing woman, if you are ever in Australia, I will probably be the one sobbing my face out in the front row, because I don't know how I will get to the front row. I'm not the stalking kind, but I will be stalking that.
On that point, have you seen Rachelle perform live?
No, not live, unfortunately. Not
No.
like live. I watched everything that I could find of her
On YouTube.
and to be honest, I much prefer her performing live than to albums, because albums are like a beautiful finished work of art as a sculpture, whereas a live performance as a tree.
Yeah.
When given a choice, I will always choose, regardless of an artist, I will always choose a live recording over an album recording, for one simple reason, because it kind of makes you a bit emotionally bare when they are up on stage. And especially since she's been working so long in the industry, she's incredibly prolific. She has a lot of unreleased stuff. Her very first album was first released in Japan, like not even in the States.
Just going off that, Em, how many, do you know off the top of your head, how many albums she has released?
Not many, 6 or 7, but she's incredibly active in the live performance.
All right.
So every big jazz festival, she tours a lot. She has like not many singles, maybe like a few singles off of a couple of albums. And again, it's one of those artists that either move you or don't. You know?
She's also done a lot of guest spots on a lot of people's albums as well too, yeah?
I'm pretty sure about that, because she worked as a backup singer quite a lot. I don't know whether she's doing it still. She's an incredible songwriter, so she's a creative artist as well as an interpretive artist, so she performs other people's stuff as well. She plays piano like a god. She's not like every time you see her, to me, it's I don't even think about how she leads her band. Sometimes there are those subtle things. You watch at the live performance and there's a moment that I really like. I think even in I Forgive You or some other bit, when a keyboard player went a bit too loud. She was playing a grand piano and a keyboard player playing some pads or something like that, and it was a very subtle moment, and like the pads were too loud, and she was just singing her heart out, playing, and then found like a minute, kind of just looked over her shoulders and went, then turned back and started singing again, and they still didn't reduce the volume, so she turned around again with a much bigger gesture. She was like when you watch this video, the size of the mouth this woman has is incredible. She has 0 F's to give about what she looks like when she sings. If she needs to modify her voice to go to a specific sound, she will do it. She's not...
A lot of students are very self-conscious about that, going, look in the mirror, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Look in the mirror, got to get your mouth going, smile this. And I go, oh, my mouth looks... I said, you're going to have a microphone in front of it anyway.
Yeah, I'm showing Rachelle to every single student who gives it, like, guys, and ladies, if you are the one student that I showed you Rachelle Ferrell, put a comment down below or give us a like, because most likely I did. This is a fantastic example. Once you watch it, I feel a little weird like gushing about it because I'm so passionate about her music.
I can see you're going to be right smiling your face, and your energies come up as well.
Yeah, she is an absolute sunshine, an incredible artist, both creative, which means she writes her own music, and interpretive, which means that she performs as well. Incredible pianist, effortless, incredible singer, effortless technique. If I get to be Rachelle Ferrell in the like my next 10th life maybe from this one, I will be super happy. Obviously there are some anatomical differences. She had, like, when you look at the video, like this is from a singing teacher's perspective, you will notice when Rachelle talks, this is how she talks. She has giant larynx, her voice box is very large. You can see her neck is quite prominent.
Wow.
And obviously she just has more substance to work with. Her vocal folds are larger, her breathing tubes are probably thicker, kind of just wider in diameter. Obviously there are anatomical things that limit us, you know.
Can I just ask, okay, do you know what ethnic background she is?
She's African American. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she's African American, and it doesn't automatically mean a big voice, but think. I don't even know whom to compare her with. Think Sarah Vaughan, a cross between Sarah Vaughan and Nina Simone.
Oh wow.
And Minnie Riperton.
Wow.
Like if you take Nina Simone's low notes, her grit, her passion, if you take Sarah Vaughan's beautiful sunshine girl, like middle tones, amazing trills, and if you get Minnie Riperton's whistle on top of that, effortless, very bright. That's Rachelle Ferrell, and she's like no one else. It's just, I don't know how else to describe her.
Wow.
Anything else you want to know about Rachelle Ferrell?
No, well, I'm definitely going to, we'll put a link in for that I Forgive You song.
Yes.
Definitely for sure, and we'll, I'll definitely look into her. You know, I have heard of her, only, I think only referencing through you, have I heard of her, so I haven't really heard a lot of her material, so I'm going to definitely check it out.
I don't know, when Peter told me he was the one arranging one of her albums and playing keyboards, and I was living in the mountains, like in Ural Mountains back in Russia at the time. It was winter, and I was just like, how is that happening even? So this, I don't know, this connection just kind of exists. Sometimes you find this incredible person who's nothing like you, and you desperately want to be like them, but you have to be realistic. Like I will never be like Rachelle Ferrell, but I will keep trying my best from technical standpoint. Emotionally, I think I'm there. I think we'll get along fine.
That's great. You know, I also think that's really great for the listeners and the viewers out there as well too, that they not compare themselves to anyone else.
Yeah.
Definitely have your inspirations and your heroes, but don't compare yourself to someone else. Just do the best that you possibly can with your voice. Like you mentioned a couple of singers there, like, you know, Nina Simone, you know, only uses the lower part of my lower range, you know, so, and she's still a fantastic singer, a legend. So you don't need to have a huge range to become a great singer. That's really the big thing. Just do the best with what you're being given. We should all be very lucky that we've got that.
Yes.
All right, let's go on to my favourite singer.
Yes.
My favourite singer is I didn't have to think about this one. It's Paul McCartney, and I'm wearing the Beatles T-shirt here because of this. And Paul McCartney is my favourite singer because it was the first band that had an influence on me, and I was more so drawn to Paul's voice, and I distinguished Paul's voice fairly early on. I was very, very young when I got into the Beatles. We were fortunate enough, and I know that anyone that is in their late 40s like me, if they want to comment on this, but Saturday morning there used to be a cartoon show called Mr. Magoo, and he used to drive around in a T-model Ford. He was an old guy. And then after the Mr. Magoo show, there was the Beatles cartoon after that. And this was standard, and this was early as well too. So this was on at like 7:30 or 8 Saturday morning. I was obviously very young, maybe 4 or 5 years old. So that was my first influence with that. And then after that cartoon session, there used to be, and if any of the viewers are out there, they want to put this in the comments as well, so there used to be a music show that was on Saturday mornings, and it was called Sounds, and Donny Summer hosted Sounds, and I used to watch that after the Beatles, and that was like my fix, my Saturday morning fix. But I just remember listening to the Beatles then, and then my mum had some Beatles albums, and listening to the Beatles albums, and really getting into, especially being a kid, getting into their earlier, more popular albums. And it was just fun and easy to sing as a kid as well too. So that was really the big thing for me. It wasn't until probably a little bit later on that I got into some other things, like I know that there were some Rolling Stones albums around and different things like that I had to listen to, and Sinatra and stuff like that. And then I was developing my own musical tastes as well too. But the Beatles were the big one for me, and everything was fun about them and clean cut. The Rolling Stones were a little bit more, scruffy and beer drinking and things like that. And I just really resonated with the early Beatles albums. And my mum, I think, told me the difference between the four singers, and I thought it was quite easy to distinguish the four singers out of the band. John had more of a, I even called it back then, probably a more raw and untrained voice, and I thought McCartney had the more clean, controlled voice, myself in the Beatles. And then, look, it wasn't long after that I ended up getting, all of their albums. And, I just think also, just looking back at what they did, it was just really pure dedication and passion to the cause. I speak to a lot of students, or young, I call them kids, about the Beatles, and because they've got 14 albums, they think that they were around for 30 years, but they were only together really from 63 to really December 69. Their last recording was January 1970, so really only sort of 7 years. They did 14 albums, 2 double albums. They toured for the better part of the first half of that. So for 4 years they also they toured the world as well too. And my mum was lucky enough to see the Beatles over here. They played Festival Hall, and she was one of the numerous people that lined the streets of Melbourne when they came through, and they had a ticker tape parade for them, and she went and was lucky enough to see them at Festival Hall, and that was I wish I was around at that time. And it just pretty much led on from there. It was just great to sing. I really liked Paul's voice more. There wasn't any particular reason why. I think he had more range, especially in the latter part of his career when he was doing things like Sgt. Pepper's. That was really it. And I just think that the body of work that they did, and I don't think that I would be here doing what I'm doing if it wasn't for them. That was really it. Huge fan, not a fanboy where I go out and follow them around or stalk them or do whatever that is. I would have ultimately really liked to see the Beatles play live with the original artists. I know that there was a while in the 90s when I was living in the States that there were rumours going to be put around that they were going to play Central Park with Julian Lennon and the remaining members, and I went yes, and it never came through. But yeah, look, I think he's great. I listen to I listen to all his new albums, and yeah, look, I just think he's probably pushing his range a little bit now for what he's doing. I think he's got to maybe take a little bit of a leaf out of Robert Plant's latest album, where he can't sing as high. He's not doing Led Zeppelin, he's just singing down low and still writing really good songs. I'm not such a fan of his solo work. I don't mind Wings. I think he wrote some good songs in Wings, and some very good albums. But it was really the body of work in the Beatles and the work ethic that they did to produce that much, and just to be, I think, the biggest band in the world at the time, and probably the biggest band ever, I really think, to do with what they produced and the amount of albums that they sold. I don't know whether everyone's going to top them. I'm sure there will be some that will top them, but yeah, I just thought their musicianship was great. Their early musicianship, it was 4 of them. You can see videos of the 4 of them standing around one condenser mic, one take, doing all the harmonies. There's an amazing video as well too of them playing Dodger Stadium in New York, and there's no fallback there, and they're just using the old trumpet sort of radio microphones, the announcer microphones to be for the crowd to hear it. They didn't hear anything. There's no fallback back then. There's a screaming noise. You can hear the recordings. The girls screaming was louder than anything else. So they were amazing musicians as well too. I loved his voice. He had a great falsetto. You can hear that in Helter Skelter. He could scream as well too. He could sing ballads. He wasn't technically probably the best singer out there, but he expressed it very, very well. He was a very good singer though. That's all I really want to say. It was more so just the influence that they had, and especially him, had on me as a singer. I've sung all their songs, and John's songs as well too. But Let It Be was one of the first songs, and a song that I always sing all the time, even to this day. I still sing it. So that's pretty much it for me. As I'm not a really big fanboy. I've got a couple of Beatles posters hidden around somewhere. I've got obviously all of their CDs, all of their B-sides and rarities and everything that they've probably ever released. And yeah, I would love to see them. I have never seen Paul McCartney solo. It's just something that I really want to just hold the Beatles for what I remember them for. I know that I've gone and seen, especially you get a lot now with a lot of people that are touring. Sometimes I think they're just touring to make money, but then they're coming out and they're a little bit over it, and you walk away going, I want to go back and listen to the albums. So that's just one thing that I don't want tainted, and I just want to leave it as it is. I think my mum even asked me, am I going to go and see Paul McCartney when he was out last year? And I said, I'm not going to go and see him. I watched the Beatles on YouTube. That was my thing. So
I can understand where you come from with this, yeah.
But that's pretty much it, really. Yeah, he's my favourite singer, favourite band, very early influence. And I thought, they really revolutionised harmonies. That was one of the big things that really grabbed me about them, were the 3 and 4 part harmonies in the band. I went to, when I was travelling around the UK, I did make a special trip to Liverpool, specifically to go to and see, and that's why I went to Liverpool. So that was that was the extent of my stalking. Not so much stalking, more so to pay homage to such a great place. I went to Strawberry Fields, Penny Lane, all these places where Paul's first and second house, the Cavern Bar, and I stayed there just a couple of days just to soak the vibe up, and it was that was good for me, and that was as bad as fanboy as I get. I would love to I'd love to meet Paul McCartney. He's a person that I would really love to meet. If I had a dinner party, I could invite two people. I'd like to invite Paul McCartney and David Lee Roth. There'd be some stories between the both of them, but especially Paul Mac. I would really love to. It'd be great just to sit down, just ask him some questions about the Beatles and some stories.
Well, they did. You talked about how well synchronized they are, how well they know each other, how they sing harmonies together. It's been a while since I read this book, many years ago, about how they were working in Germany.
Yep, it's a really famous time.
Yeah, and this is basically where they honed all of their abilities. Can you tell people and me a little bit more about this?
Yeah, that was early on in their career. That was I think that was probably 63 and 4. That was early on. It was actually, yes, it was 63 and 64. And yeah, they were in. I'm pretty sure they were based in Munich, I think, and all they did is the record company sent them over there just to pretty much just to write and hone their skills, and they played 3 gigs a day, and so in between the gigs they had nothing better to do than just to write songs and record, and they did that for quite some time. They did that I think for a year, and so that's all they did. So after you do something for that long, you're going to be fantastic. So they just basically practiced together. Well, they practiced basically 3 times a day, and then in between that, John and Paul were always writing songs. There's lots of famous photos of them sitting on the opposite side of the beds that they were sitting on, and because Paul was left-handed and John was right-handed, they would mirror each other basically. So it was like a mirror. So they'd play chords and bounce things off each other. So that was really where that came from, and the harmonies were just things that they sort of picked up from, especially their first 2 albums were predominantly covers as well too. So I just want to just throw that in. So that very early period when they were over in Berlin, that they were doing covers. They were a cover band, and they were doing predominantly Afro-American R&B. So
which is an excellent school of technique.
Rhythm and blues. Yeah. They were doing Chuck Berry, Little Richard. All those classic rhythm and blues players. That's pretty much what the first 2 albums consisted of, and the first couple of Rolling Stones albums as well too. The first Beatles album I think consisted of 14 or 15 songs, and I think it had only 3 or 4 originals. On the second album I think they had probably 5 originals. The rest were all covers. So they really honed their skills and ground their teeth on doing covers, and that's where they learnt their skills from. I really think that they took these covers and made them their own, rearranged them, and put the harmonies onto them. I would like to, actually ask, Paul McCartney, how did you come up with the harmonies? Because there were no, besides, actually I think I do know, they were listening to like a lot of a cappella bands over there as well too, Afro-American a cappella bands.
The Temptations.
Yes, yes. So they'll listen to a lot of that, and they just put that into the contemporary. Their contemporary style, and sort of mixed it all together. But they just worked, that 7 years that they were together, they pretty much worked the whole time, especially for the first probably 5.5 years. They were only worked, and at the end they became more famous. They didn't tour, and they wanted to focus on more so songwriting. They stopped touring after about 4 years. The band just didn't want to tour anymore. They just didn't like it, and their last gig was at Dodger Stadium that I said, and they just didn't want to tour. They didn't like it. There's a bit of a backlash in America from it as well too. I think they played one more show after that, and that was on top of the Apple building, which I think was to film a whole bunch of videos for the Let It Be album. So they did a whole bunch of live videos, and that was the actual last performance that they ever did together live as a band. But they were really good because they took all the good elements out of Afro-American R&B and the harmonies and put a pop spin on it. I think the production as well too really helped them. They had a great producer as well too that really took their sound to the next level. They used to call him, I forgot what his name is now, it will come to me. They called him the fifth member of the Beatles. So he was a very intricate part of their sound and what they did. So yeah, that's as much as I can say. But you know, I really just like the harmonies and you know, great singing, and you know, the work ethic was fantastic, and yeah, there's not much more that I can say. You know, and he seems like a really great guy, a really nice guy. I seen Carpool Karaoke not that long ago, and that was really interesting. It was great to see him singing all those
oh, that's cute.
Those old songs there. Yeah, that was released last year. I think it was the highest rating carpool karaoke that's ever been released. I think was Paul McCartney's. So
okay, we're gonna link that down below too.
Let's link that. It's great. He gives you a tour of Liverpool actually. So it's actually done in his hometown of Liverpool.
Oh,
so
that's nice.
So it's really good, and he goes back to the Cavern Bar and different things. So yeah. But that's pretty much it. Any other questions you want to ask me about the Beatles?
Do you feel the fact, it's not a music related question, but more so music industry question related. So a lot of rock music then was kind of like, musicians had this dirty image, this rebel image with rebel music, and Beatles were basically the one and only the first band that did this. They were the first, I feel like, Britpop band that a lot of people started following. Because they changed their image to not match their music. The music was pure rock, pop rock.
To start with,
yeah, pop rock. Quite. The vocals are incredible. There's a lot of grit and so on. So if you just listen to the Beatles out of context, if aliens arrive and they just listen to the Beatles, like all of it, I'm pretty sure they would imagine not like clean-cut boys and with like very well-groomed hair and suits. And I feel like this may have contributed a lot to their popularity as well, because
undoubtedly, like you know, the Beatles were, as I said, you know, their marketing was fantastic. You know, they were told, you know, by management to wear the suits and to have the haircuts. And to have the clean cut image, and that was something that they were going for, and that's what I'm saying. The the producer of their music had that sound. So you know they were very well marketed, and yeah, it was a different thing that was coming out to look like that, and I'm happy that all the band came out at the end of it all still intact, because it didn't happen with Elvis Presley. They just said, we're not going to tour anymore because it's killing us. Do you know what I mean? All it was writing while they're on the road, recording, and then touring. Their work ethic was insane. There are so many songs that hit songs. I'm talking huge hit songs that didn't make the album because they were in the middle of nowhere, and they wrote, "She loves you, yeah, yeah, yeah." Didn't make an album. "I Want to Hold Your Hand." "I Want to Hold Your." Didn't make an album. "Payback Rider." Didn't make an album. The list goes on. And they were released as like, they were in the middle of nowhere recording. Let's jump in the recording studio. Let's record this Easter EP. Or let's record this Christmas EP with these singles on there. So, there were numerous songs like that didn't make it, and they were just, they just worked and played, and that's why they became what they were, and probably the greatest band in the world. Their body of work that they've done, 14 albums, two double albums. U2 have been around since 1980, and they haven't even clocked that many albums up yet. I know it's a different time, but that's just. I think that's just where sort of hard work and dedication and passion for the cause comes in as well too. So, and I don't think that they were all the greatest musicians either. I just think they really honed their skills. And the bottom line is they wrote great melodies. Yeah. They wrote great melodies. There were a lot of riffs, introduction riffs. Ringo wasn't the best, drummer. George was a very good guitarist. that John just played rhythm basically. So I just think they really worked really hard and created great melodies. They were a little bit different as well, so I just want to bring this point up. They were a little bit different where they had three very, very, very good singers in the band, and one okay singer, being Ringo. But they had three excellent singers in the band, and that really made the difference to do with the three-part harmonies being sung all the time. And they were always sort of pushing each other to write better songs. So that they really sort of paved the way for, I think, all the bands. That they're the sort of benchmark of all the bands now. With what we're doing.
You know what? I like this conversation. I was a bit reluctant to have it.
I know you were.
Because it's really hard to choose. I think we should make it a series. We should.
Series?
Yeah, we should talk more about musicians and singers that we like and how they influenced our lives and what our students and all singers around the world could learn from them. What made them special.
If you have any comments about the bands or your favourite singers, please put them in the comments below and we'll get back to them. Especially about the artists that we've spoken about here today and the influence that these artists may have had on you, or if you've had maybe an encounter with one of these artists. Maybe you've seen Rachelle live.
If you've seen Rachelle live, oh my God!
Or you might have something. You might have something signed from Rachelle that you might want to send to Emily.
I'm not a fan of memorabilia. You know, I like experiences, not things.
Yeah, I'm the same as well too. Please put your comments in the comments below about maybe your favourite artist and why they influenced you. And look, we may even make a video podcast, a video podcast about your favourite artist. But yeah, look, I think that we should do this every now and then. I think maybe we should do one every session that we sort of once a month. We come in and we'll speak about our second favourite singers. So that's going to be a bit of a different one. When I was doing this here as well too, it was a no-brainer for me. I'm not quite sure about you, but it was an absolute no-brainer. It was that's the one person that I want to talk about.
For me, it was really hard because all the musicians and singers that I like, they touch me in such different ways. It's impossible to compare them and to pick one. So I just picked one. Turns out it's fun. Let's do more of that.
Well, with me, I said it was a no-brainer because it was the first band that I heard, had access to their albums. My mum had seen them, was into them. They had the cartoon. Back then as well too, they had the numerous movies as well too. So I remember just watching the movies whenever they were on TV, and I'm going, these guys are whack. And it was just it was a great time, a great influence on me, and I'm forever grateful. And I would like to say that personally to Paul McCartney. I'm sure he hears it all the time, but I would just like to say, thanks for the Paul, if you're watching. Thanks for the music, and thanks for the inspiration, and thanks for the happiness and the love and the joy that it's given me.
Yay!
We'll wrap it up there, Em. Thank you for coming in. Much appreciated. Have a great weekend, and we will see you on the next podcast. And we might do one. I think we'll do one on Skype lessons, huh?
Yes.
Yes, you can do it from home with a cheesecake on your face.
I'd start going all over my face. And there may be some cats featured as well.
Yes.
They are very prominently featured in all my lessons.
You can feature whatever you want to feature. This is about Skype lessons and how valuable that they I think that they are, and they're going to be the future of lessons in the very near future until VA lessons come in, virtual reality. All right, we'll sign off. Have a great week, guys, and we'll see you next week. Much love. Bye bye.
Talk soon.